important consideration for you as a product cart merchant is how you're going to handle sales taxes in your storefront. When your customers make a purchase, of course, they need to pay sales tax depending on their location. Typically, it's a state-based process because, of course, sales taxes are imposed by the states, and there's not a unified internet sales tax. So it depends on the state where you have your business presence and the state where the customers are making their purchases. Fortunately, ProductCart simplifies this process for you, or at least it makes it as simple as you would like it to be, by offering some different options for managing how you collect sales taxes in a storefront. Um, to begin the process of managing your sales taxes, it's under the settings menu in your control panel. You're going to go to manage taxes. That will take you to this screen where you can start the sales tax wizard, which walks you through the process of setting up the collection of sales taxes in your store. A couple of simple questions to answer. First of all, do you pay taxes in the United States? So if you're a U.S. customer based merchant, you click yes, and it will give you a list of the states. And do you pay when you have pay taxes or have business presence in any of these states? Typically, yes, you're going to have that. So you click the continue button, and then we offer four different methods for collecting sales taxes. The simplest method and the least expensive is using the net source sales tax API. The net source sales tax API, which we'll take a look at here in a minute, allows you to select which states that you're going to collect sales tax from, and automatically charges a correct rate to your customer based on their location. An older method of managing taxes, and one that used to be the most popular in ProductCart, but is no longer the case, is the use of a tax file. Tax files are available from a couple of different vendors. Unfortunately, the tax files that ProductCart used to use when they were the most popular method were available on a state-by-state basis, and they were pretty inexpensive. Essentially, they're just big spreadsheets that list all the different payment jurisdictions in the spreadsheet and the amounts, taxation amounts in those jurisdictions, and ProductCart would just go and look those up. And that's subdivided by inside the state. Most sales taxes are rendered by zip codes and any other taxing districts that might be within those zip codes. Special taxing districts or special tax areas or subdivisions of those zip codes, depending on the tax file. Unfortunately, the case now is that the vendors that used to supply those tax files now only supply a national tax file, which is a much bigger file and much more expensive. And ProductCart doesn't look at the whole file if it doesn't have to, because it's expecting just to get a state file. So unless you want to pay a lot of money for a U.S.-wide tax file and then cut it down to the states that apply to your storefront, this is not tax files are no longer the preferred method for ProductCart to collect taxes, and they're actually considerably more expensive than using the NetSource Tax API. A third method, which is over on the far right-hand side of the screen here, is to set up taxes manually. This is mainly still included in ProductCart for the use of our international merchants, our merchants in Canada, the UK, and the EU would use manual tax rates to set up taxation in their jurisdictions. A third option, which also simplifies things considerably, is the use of Avalara, which is a third-party application that not only calculates correct sales taxes based on your location and the customer's location, but also collects those taxes and pays them to the state taxing authorities and files reports with the state taxing authorities for you to handle those sales taxes, sort of end-to-end solution. So you don't have to do much touching of anything concerning sales taxes. Avalara handles that for you. And for merchants that have high volumes and do lots of businesses, have several business presences in different states, so they have wider tax liability. Sometimes this is not a bad idea, although it is a more expensive solution because, of course, they provide all of those very handy and capable services, but you get charged for that. And, typically you're looking in the neighborhood of about $300 a month worth of fees from Avalara to manage sales taxes. But if you have a particularly complicated sales tax situation, it's certainly a viable option as opposed to maintaining all of those tax records and making payments to different taxing authorities, at the end of the month or at the end of the year, depending on their requirements. But the solution we're going to focus on today is the NetSource Tax API. The Tax API is available to any ProductCart merchant. It carries a fee of $30 a month, which can either be provided through your hosting agreement if you're hosted with NetSource Technologies or with ProductCart.com, or if you're hosted in a third-party platform, you can contact us through info@ProductCart.com to acquire a subscription to the NetSource Sales Tax API. And again, it carries a monthly charge of $30 a month, regardless of the number of states that you charge sales tax in. So we're going to take a look at that process to set that up quickly by clicking continue on the NetSource Sales Tax API. And it's going to ask you what states do you collect sales tax in. Different states have different tax regulations. Not that many years ago, the requirement was if you had a business node or a physical presence in a specific state, you're required to collect sales tax in that state. But some states' legislatures have now enacted internet sales taxes where they want merchants to collect sales tax on all sales made in their state. Typically, there's a cap, or sort of a floor on that tax liability. If you don't have at least $10,000 worth of sale in any given state, then you're not liable for sales taxes in that state. It is typically the way it works out, but you need to make sure we're not tax attorneys. So if you have questions about taxes, you need to take that up, with your accountant or with a sales tax expert, and deal with it accordingly. But on this screen, you select the taxes where you want to collect sales tax, the states where you want to collect sales tax, and once you've made that selection, you'll just select, click Save Settings, and then there are a few other things that you can do. But for the most part, you're pretty much done. If you're using NetSource Sales Tax API, once you select the states that you're in, there are a few other settings and miscellaneous settings in the storefront, regarding taxation on wholesale customers versus retail customers and things like that. But as far as your actual sales tax settings, once you've selected the states where you want to collect sales tax using the NetSource Sales Tax API, you're pretty much done. You can set sales tax exemptions on this screen, but as you can tell, there haven't been any that have been set up here. But you can, to set those up, you can set sales tax exemptions based on products or categories. It depends on what you're selling in your storefront. But for the most part, and for most ProductCart merchants, simply selecting the states where you want to pay sales tax or collect sales tax in the NetSource Sales Tax API interface is about as complicated as it gets in the process of managing your sales taxes.